In today's episode, we're diving deep into that irresistible gray area, where mystery meets magnetism, and where some male celebrities thrive without ever having to explain their feelings. They're not just actors or musicians, they're cultural enigmas, effortlessly shifting between masculine and feminine energy with a confidence that keeps fans guessing and wanting more. Whether it's Robert Pattinson casually toying with gender norms in interviews, Paul Mescal's soft masculinity melting hearts everywhere, or Damiano David's glam rock sensuality commanding global attention, each of these men has turned ambiguity into pure star power. We're not here to slap labels on anyone. We're here to celebrate fluid charm, unspoken flirtation, and the art of keeping things deliciously undefined. Here are 5 stars who've taken queer-coded energy and made it their signature. Robert Pattinson, the unlabeled heartthrob who redefined masculinity. Robert Pattinson has always danced on the edge of labels, never quite fitting into a single box. From his brooding portrayal of Edward Cullen in Twilight to his raw indie performances in films like Good Time and The Lighthouse, Robert's appeal lies as much in his ambiguity as in his talent. In interviews, he's flirted with fluidity, not in any overtly declarative way, but through subtle remarks that keep fans guessing. When asked about sexuality, gender roles, or attraction, he often responds with a shrug and a knowing smile, like he's in on a secret only he understands. Fashion? That's where Robert truly lets his queer-coded energy shine. Whether he's walking red carpets and oversized skirts for Dior Homme or posing for high-concept editorial shoots with smudged eyeliner and slicked-back hair, he owns every look with a certain effortless defiance. He doesn't dress for the male gaze, or even for the female gaze. He dresses for himself, and maybe for the art of leaving people intrigued. On screen, he's not afraid to blur boundaries. In The Lighthouse, his character's dynamic with Willem Dafoe dances dangerously close to homoerotic tension, with long, drunken nights and intimate fights that feel almost like foreplay. Even in his more commercial roles, Robert finds moments to inject softness, vulnerability, and an unsettling sensuality that challenges traditional masculinity. His off-screen persona, just as complex. Robert rarely corrects fans when they make assumptions about his identity. In one interview, when asked about his romantic history, he casually mentioned that he's had crushes on people across the spectrum. It wasn't a grand coming out. It wasn't a headline-grabbing announcement. It was just Robert being Robert. The internet, of course, eats it up. TikTok edits, Tumblr threads, and Twitter stan accounts all celebrate his chaotic, flirtatiously ambiguous energy. He's become something of a queer icon, not because he's explicitly declared anything, but because he refuses to play by the old rules. Robert's charm lies in how comfortably he inhabits liminal spaces. He doesn't over-explain, doesn't perform identity for media approval, and doesn't apologize for being different. Whether he's kissing co-stars in art house films or breaking gender norms in fashion spreads, he embodies a kind of soft rebellion, a rejection of toxic masculinity, wrapped in indie boy charm and vintage Dior. For younger fans questioning their own identities, Robert Pattinson offers something invaluable. A reminder that you don't have to choose a label, don't have to come out with a headline, and don't have to live by anyone's expectations but your own. In the end, Robert remains one of Hollywood's most deliciously confusing figures, a man whose beauty, talent, and queerness, whatever that means to him, continue to make fans swoon and critics rethink what a leading man can look like. Jacob Elordi's presence in Hollywood has always been wrapped in a soft, elusive energy that keeps people guessing. Tall, dark, and devastatingly handsome, the Australian actor burst onto the scene with Netflix's teen romance hit The Kissing Booth, where he played the quintessential bad boy with a secret heart of gold. But as his career matured, so did the intrigue surrounding his personal life and public persona. Unlike many of his peers, Jacob doesn't chase the spotlight when it comes to defining his sexuality. In interviews, he's charming but artfully evasive, often laughing off personal questions or steering conversations toward his work. This ambiguity only fuels speculation, especially when combined with his increasingly daring fashion choices and fluid on-screen performances. His role as Nate Jacobs in HBO's Euphoria added new layers to his image. Playing a troubled, hyper-masculine jock wrestling with repressed desires, Jacob showed a vulnerability on screen that many viewers weren't expecting. The intensity of the role blurred lines between fiction and reality for fans, sparking online debates about how much of Nate's tortured energy mirrored Jacob's own inner world. Of course, the actor has never directly commented on those comparisons, letting the audience draw their own conclusions. Off-screen, Jacob's fashion evolution has been just as compelling. Gone are the days of simple jeans and t-shirts. These days, he's front row at high-fashion shows, wearing silk blouses, tailored wide-leg pants, and occasionally even pearl necklaces. His red carpet moments ooze confidence and subtle sensuality, often embracing silhouettes and textures traditionally seen as more androgynous or gender fluid. Yet, through all of this, Jacob has maintained a certain softness in how he presents himself. He speaks with a slow, thoughtful cadence, and his social media presence is minimal and carefully curated. There's an effortless coolness to him, as if he exists slightly outside of Hollywood's loud performative energy. Fans and media outlets have speculated endlessly about his dating life. From high-profile relationships with female co-stars to more ambiguous friendships with male creatives and models, Jacob keeps people guessing. And perhaps that's exactly the way he wants it. In a culture obsessed with labels, he's become a masterclass in living somewhere in between, both in fashion and in identity. Ultimately, Jacob Elordi stands as a symbol of modern masculinity. Unafraid to lean into softness, uninterested in fitting into narrow definitions, and willing to let ambiguity do the talking. Whether he's lounging in a silk suit on the cover of a fashion magazine or delivering a complex, emotionally charged performance on screen, Jacob knows exactly how to hold attention without ever giving too much away. For now, he's letting the world wonder, and that's part of his power. Paul Mescal, the soft-spoken heartthrob who redefines masculinity. Paul Mescal may have skyrocketed to global fame through his breakout role in Normal People, but his allure extends far beyond television screens. With his Irish charm, vulnerable acting style, and boy-next-door appeal, Paul has captivated audiences worldwide, creating an enigmatic space between traditional masculinity and soft, emotional intimacy. From the very beginning of his career, Paul was never afraid to embrace characters that challenge stereotypes. In Normal People, his portrayal of Connell Waldron, a sensitive, emotionally complex young man, struck a chord with millions. The series quickly became a cultural phenomenon, not just for its storyline, but for the raw honesty Paul brought to the role. Suddenly, the chain around his neck became iconic, Tumblr pages exploded with admiration, and he became the face of a new era of masculinity. Vulnerable yet strong, soft yet magnetic. But Paul's appeal doesn't stop with scripted performances. Off-screen, his public persona is equally intriguing. Rarely one to overshare, he walks the fine line between private and present. His interviews reveal a man who values emotional honesty while never feeling the need to fit into a hyper-masculine box. He speaks candidly about mental health, vulnerability, and the pressures of fame, topics that resonate deeply with younger audiences craving authentic male representation. When it comes to fashion, Paul's style reflects his personality. Effortless, slightly disheveled, yet undeniably captivating. Whether attending red carpets in short shorts and loafers or choosing oversized blazers and statement knits, he consistently defies traditional fashion expectations for leading men. His GQ spreads and editorial shoots capture both his boyish charm and smoldering edge, making him a darling of both indie film lovers and high-fashion circles. Speculation about Paul's private life only adds to the mystique. While he's been linked romantically to a few high-profile women, his openness to roles with queer-coded subtext keeps the conversation around his sexuality alive and well on social media. Fans often point to his fluid fashion choices, emotionally charged performances, and nuanced interviews as reasons why he resonates so strongly with queer audiences. Yet, like many modern stars, Paul has never felt the need to label himself, leaving room for endless interpretation. In his post-Normal People career, Paul continues to make bold choices. His roles in films like Aftersun and All of Us Strangers further cement his reputation as an actor unafraid to explore emotional vulnerability and complicated human connections, regardless of gender. His performance in All of Us Strangers in particular gained praise for its tender portrayal of intimacy between two men, handled with sensitivity and care. Damiano David, the charismatic frontman of the Italian rock band Måneskin, has become one of the most captivating figures in global pop culture. With his smoldering gaze, unapologetic fashion sense, and fearless stage presence, Damiano exists in that perfect gray area between masculine and feminine, rock star and fashion icon, friend and fantasy. From the moment Måneskin burst onto the international scene after their Eurovision 2021 win, fans couldn't take their eyes off Damiano. His shirtless performances, dark eyeliner, leather pants, and sultry voice made headlines, not just for the music, but for the vibe he projected. Every glance, every strut on stage seemed to ask the same teasing question. "What box do you want to put me in today?" What makes Damiano especially interesting is how he plays with ambiguity. He's not just a singer, he's a performer who understands the power of androgyny and flirtation. His interviews are full of playful non-answers whenever someone brings up sexuality. He's stated that he's straight in the past, but his aesthetic tells a broader story, one that invites everyone, regardless of gender or orientation, to admire and desire him. On social media, Damiano is a master of soft and sexy contrasts. One day, he's posing in a pearl necklace and sheer blouse. The next, he's in rugged denim with messy hair, giving off pure rock boy energy. This fluid presentation has earned him a massive LGBTQ+ fan base, many of whom see in him the embodiment of queer-coded beauty. Not labeled, not defined, just existing on his own terms. His relationship with model Georgia Soleri was public for several years, but even that did little to silence fan speculation. Instead of shutting down queer readings of his image, Damiano seems to lean into them. Whether it's sharing an intimate backstage photo with his bandmates or posting a moody mirror selfie in full glam makeup, he continues to fuel the fantasy. Fashion designers love him for the same reasons fans do. Brands like Gucci and Etro have dressed him in looks that blur traditional gender lines. On red carpets, Damiano might appear in an oversized suit jacket with no shirt underneath, or rock a sheer lace shirt paired with leather boots. His vibe screams, "I wear what I want. I perform how I want. You can interpret me however you like." At the heart of Damiano David's appeal is this beautiful contradiction. He's a symbol of modern masculinity that embraces vulnerability, sensuality, and theatricality without apology. In a pop culture landscape that still loves to categorize people, Damiano remains gloriously undefined. And perhaps that's the secret to his lasting charm. He doesn't have to confirm or deny anything. He lets the music, the outfits, and the energy speak for themselves. Jared Leto has always been a master of ambiguity. With piercing blue eyes, razor-sharp cheekbones, and a personal style that blurs every possible line between masculine and feminine, he's spent decades keeping fans guessing, and that's exactly how he likes it. From the beginning of his career, Jared never played by the rules. Whether on the silver screen or the red carpet, he moved with a quiet defiance, wearing silk blouses, painted nails, or sheer chiffon suits long before gender-fluid fashion was trending. At a time when most leading men in Hollywood stuck rigidly to convention, Jared embraced androgyny with a seductive ease that felt both intentional and effortless. His role choices only fueled the conversation. From playing a transgender woman in Dallas Buyers Club, a performance that earned him an Academy Award, to fronting his band 30 Seconds to Mars with an almost theatrical sensuality, Jared blurred performance and persona. On stage, he struts in silk kimonos or leather pants, teasing both camera lenses and audiences with a wink, a smirk, or a bare-chested moment under spotlight. Every appearance feels like a statement. You can look, but you'll never quite know. In interviews, Jared remains playful and elusive about labels. Questions about his sexuality are met with coy smiles, sidesteps, or clever deflections. He knows the public is curious, but he never gives too much away. This controlled ambiguity has become part of his brand, an intoxicating mix of rock star mystery and Hollywood enigma. Social media only adds fuel to the fire. Jared posts photos that balance on the edge of intimacy and art, shirtless selfies, sultry glances, or moments draped in pastel silk and oversized pearls. There's a softness to his aesthetic that feels almost romantic, but paired with an untouchable cool that keeps followers hooked. And while he's been linked to several famous women over the years, Jared's never made any loud declarations about love or orientation. Instead, he lets the speculation swirl. Fans have written countless think pieces dissecting his fashion choices, his roles, his stage presence, searching for clues he's never quite willing to give. But maybe that's the point. For Jared, queerness seems less about categories and more about freedom. He exists in a space where desire, style, and identity don't need clear definitions. He's both delicate and fierce, soft-spoken and bold, private and provocatively public, all at once. At 50+, Jared continues to redefine Hollywood masculinity on his own terms. Whether he's walking the Met Gala carpet in a flowing cape or standing in front of thousands of screaming fans with smudged eyeliner and a velvet suit, one thing remains clear. Jared Leto will always be the beautiful question mark in a world too eager for answers. And honestly, that's exactly why we're still watching. In a world where labels often feel limiting, these 5 stars continue to blur the lines and redefine what masculinity, sexuality, and public identity can look like. Whether through fashion, interviews, or simply refusing to fit into neat categories, Robert Pattinson, Paul Mescal, Damiano David, Jacob Elordi, and Jared Leto have embraced the ambiguity and made it irresistibly cool. Their charm lies not in clear-cut answers, but in their refusal to conform. By owning the gray areas between queer-coded and queer icon, these men are showing fans that attraction, identity, and expression aren't always binary. And maybe that's exactly why we can't look away.